In this video, I'm going to provide the demonstration for lab number 5, that is analyzing data within the data warehouse. So let's have a look how you're going to perform the steps within the lab. So the very first step, as per the pre-requirement, you need to perform the lab setup where you are supposed to create the free Fabric free trial account. So once you have signed up for the Fabric account, after that the very first step you are going to implement is creating a workspace. So let's create a workspace. So from here, let's click on new workspace and give it a name. So let's say I will give it a name as Lab 5 workspace and apply. So once the workspace is created, now next is we are going to create a data warehouse. So there are two options here to create the warehouse. One is your empty warehouse and one is the sample warehouse. So in this lab, we are going to create an empty warehouse. So for that, just type warehouse in the local search bar at the top. And notice here you're getting two options. So you need to select the second option, which is the warehouse. Give it a name. So I'll give it a name as Lab 5 warehouse and click on create. Now once your warehouse is created, then the general method to load the data into the warehouse is that either we first create the table, and after creating the table we insert that data by using the insert commands or by ingesting the data from the external data sources, right? Or we also make use of some other statements like your copy into command, insert select statement. So these methods are used to perform the data ingestion within the warehouse. So here we are simply going to run a SQL script to build our tables inside the warehouse. So here first we are going to use this new SQL query. So at the very top of the warehouse, select the SQL icon and select new SQL query. And copy paste our code that creates a table with name dim product. So create table means we are creating a table. DBO is your default schema. So dim product table will be created under the default schema, and product key, product alt key, product name, category and list price. These represents our column names. Let's run this query to create the table. So once the query gets executed, notice your Explorer pane. In the Explorer pane, expand the schemas folder. Then expand the DBO schema. Expand the tables folder. And within the tables folder, notice that our dim product table has been created. But it is empty. We have not loaded any data into our dim product table. So to load the data, let's open another new SQL query. So here in Fabric, when you write SQL queries, either in the lakehouse or in the warehouse, so these SQL queries automatically get saved within the My Queries folder, right? So either you can rewrite the query or you can create a new SQL query. So here I'm creating a new SQL query. I will copy this and paste it over here. So this will insert these three records within my dim product table. So let's execute it. Now your query has executed. Now you can go up and check your dim product table, check the preview. So I will select the dim product table and this will load the preview. So here you can see we have inserted these three records. Now in the next instruction we are provided with one GitHub URL. So let's open a new browser tab and type this URL. And here notice we have a very long script that is creating the tables and loading the data into the table using the insert into command. So let's copy this entire script. So you can say Control A or Command A if you are on MacBook. Copy. Go back to your SQL endpoint in the warehouse. Select New SQL Query and paste the copied script. And simply select Run. So notice that our query is currently getting executed. You can even see the time getting appearing up at the bottom of the screen. So it completed in 12 seconds. And notice that here we have got some new tables along with the dim product table, like we have dim customer, date table, product table, and the fact sales order table. So basically we are going to design your data warehouse in star schema, where in the middle you will have your fact table. So your fact sales order is going to be the fact table, while the other tables are the dimensional tables. So now since we have the data available in our warehouse, now we will see how we can query that data. Okay, so we can explore that data. So obviously we are not going to explore the data from a single table. We are going to explore the data collectively from more than one tables. So for that we probably make use of join operations here. So let's create a new SQL query and type our very first query for data exploration. So notice here the query says, so we are selecting year column, month column, and the month name column and giving it a different name for the preview purpose. Plus we are identifying the aggregation on your sales total column from another table, that is the sales order table. So here you can see that we are selecting these columns from the sales order table as SO, and we are joining this table with the dimensional table. Which dimension table? Dim date table. And this is the key on which we are making the join, because I want the total sales over the year, month, as well as the month name. So that's why, since I need this information collectively from the day table and the sales table, so that's why we are making a connection between these two tables. And here in SQL endpoint we make that connection using the join keyword. So when we say join, it means you are merging the two tables. Just like in the data flows over there, you use the Power Query, the diagram view, and in the diagram view you had the option to drag and drop the tables into the canvas, and you used that merge query operation to create a new table, right? Similarly here also you're merging the two tables on this common key column, which is the date key from the date table and sales order date key from the sales order, which is your fact table. And then you are grouping your result. So I want to group my data by year, in the year, by month and month name. And then you are sorting it by year as well as month of the year. So that's a very simple query. So let's run this query to see the result. So notice here, this is our output that we have got. So you can see we are able to see the sales revenue for the month name. So it's coming as the month name, month of the year, as well as calendar year. And this is your total sales revenue. So this is how generally we use the SQL queries to explore our data, right? Just like in the semantic model, you make use of the visuals like your reports. You create the visuals within the report for getting insights into the data. So some of the insights you can perform within the data warehouse itself using the T-SQL connection. Now, most of the times we also need to perform some aggregations by getting the data from some more than one table. This is what we are going to do in this next SQL query. So I will create this new SQL query. Let me copy this and paste it in the editor. So here, notice what we are exploring in this new SQL query. So here now in this query, instead of getting the total sales revenue as per the year, your date values, time based analysis we were doing, I also want to get the total sales according to the region. Okay, so for that, now here we have added another dimension table into our exploration, which is your dim customer table. So earlier in the previous query, we were joining your fact sales table with the dimensional date table, and now we are also joining it with the dimensional customer table over the customer key, so that we can get the results by the sales region also, right? So let's quickly run this query. And now here, notice that we are able to see the sales revenue by the sales region for Canada, for UK, for US. So now you have seen that how we can use the T-SQL endpoint within your warehouse to explore the data, which is available within our data warehouse in Fabric. Now sometimes it is also necessary to make use of views, right? So for example, we create the view where we can perform some uh, complex queries. We can hide that implementation from the people who are not aware of using the SQL for getting the exploration done. So view is basically, we can think of it as a saved SQL query that will behave as a virtual table. So means to say that when you create a view, it will not be stored in the one lake. So you are not going to store the data inside the view. It will only have the definition of how to fetch or shape that data. So you can think of view as an object that stores some logic. While when you create a table, the table stores the data, right? But a view will store the logic. So let's see over here that how we create the view. So you will click on new SQL query again and select copy and paste over here. So here notice what we are doing in this view. So here we are creating a view with name sales by region, where we are exploring the total sales revenue across multiple regions over the calendar year as well as the month, right? So this is the same query that we executed just now before creating the view. So we can save this logic of exploring the data as a view, right? So this creates a reusable logic, you can say, which your teams can query instead of rewriting that SQL query again and again, right? And it also improves security. Now you will ask how? So basically, when you create a view, you can give access to a view. Now, when you are giving access to a view to run that query, you are not giving direct access to the data or the underlying tables, right? Now, your Fabric warehouse, you know it is built on SQL analytics, right? So, your view will work just like your typical SQL server view, right? And now, whenever someone is going to query, so Fabric will run that underlying SQL to generate the results on the fly. So, let's execute this query to create our view. So, this has created our view with name sales region, and even you can even view this view created within your warehouse explorer under the views folder. So here notice that our view has been created, which is sales by region. You could have even created view using the GUI interface. We also have that option. So let me quickly jump to the previous query. So here, when you create the view, you don't select this order by clause. So for instance, here also you can see. So when we created the view, so we don't have the order by statement. We are just telling how we are going to select the columns and how we are going to group the values. So here I'll simply go back to the previous query and I will select my entire select command, and at the top we have this option that says save as a view. So you can select save as a view, give it a name, the schema, and your view will be created. So let me give it a name as demo sales revenue view and click OK. So notice it says your query is successfully executed. And notice here that our demo sales revenue view has been successfully created. Right? So views are very helpful. But in Fabric, it is not recommended to use these views which are not physically stored if you are working with the direct link. Because if you want to utilize the direct link capabilities, then instead of using views, it is recommended to make use of the materialized views, because these materialized views will store pre-computed results and you will get the faster performance, right, over the tables. But in the warehouse, you don't have option to create that materialized view. That materialized view is available only within the lakehouse, which you create when the lakehouse is created with the schema enabled option. So I hope this is clear about what is a view and how do we create it. So once we have view created, you can query that data by running the view directly. So here we will create a new SQL query again, and now instead of querying the underlying tables, we will query that view. So here notice we are selecting the columns from the view that we created, and then later on you can mention order by statement. Let's run and see we are able to see the similar results. So these are the benefits, some of the benefits of a view creation. So now you have seen how you can write SQL queries to explore the data, right? Now, just like in the lakehouse, you created a visual query. Now, in the warehouse also, you have got the similar interface. So here also you can create a visual query. So go to that same tab, SQL at the top, and instead of new SQL, select new visual query. So here we are going to perform some transformations like merge operation. So for that we need to drag and drop the tables into our canvas. So we need two tables here for our exploration, which is a product table and the fact sales table. So either you can drag and drop by picking your table and place it over here, or if in case you are unable to do, you can also just click on three dots in front of the table name and select insert to canvas. So let me hide the table view at the bottom so that we get good view of our data. Not the data, but our visual query. Okay, so now here we have the fact sale table, we have the product table. Now I want to get some columns included from my dim product table into my fact sales order table. So for that I will perform the merge operation. Okay, so for that what I'll do is I will select this fact sales order table. So first select this within the canvas. You will see this plus button appearing up. So just click on this plus connector, and then from the provided transformation select merge queries. And now when you select merge query, you will be asked that on which table you want to perform the join, right? Just like we were doing it in the SQL editor earlier, right? So here we are doing the same but using the visual editor. So here I want to join it with the dim product table. So we will select this dim product table. Plus you also need to select the common key column so that you can refer the data, right, from another table. So for that we will select the dim product key. So select the product key here, and at the top also we need to select the product key from both the tables, right? And now click on OK, and make sure that we are using the default outer join as the left outer join. Select OK. Now here notice that we are getting that your query has been merged. And if you open the data preview here at the bottom, just scroll to the very last and notice that your dim product table has been joined with your fact sales table. Now it is added as a table reference, right? So you can see table name but you cannot see the column names. So to actually see the column names, what we need to do is just where you can see the table name, here you have one connector at the end which resembles two directions pointing in the opposite directions, two arrows, right? So you need to select this. So click over here and select only product name column. So we want to join only the product name column. Click on OK. Right? Now we have the product name. Now if you are interested in looking at the data for a single product, then you can use the product name column now to filter the data in the query. Right? So from here you can analyze the results of the single query, and you can even visualize the results as well, or you can download the Excel file. And if you want to define the semantic model, so you can create the semantic model as well, but this is completely optional. So you will create the semantic models in the next lab. Okay, so that's it. So now you can continue with your lab. If in case you face any challenge, please do let me know. Now the time is all yours. Thank you.